It's 8 o'clock. That was the plan. The hard deadline. The time you swore you would be walking out the door. Yet here you are, at 8:12, pulling the door shut with a sense of baffled surprise. What happened? You didn't hit snooze for an extra 12 minutes. You didn't doom scroll. You were busy. The plant looked thirsty. The trash suddenly smelled. You remembered one single tiny email you just had to send. And your keys, of course, decided to play hide and seek in the one jacket you never wear. None of these felt like delays. They felt like life. But they added up, silently. You didn't procrastinate. Your brain just told you a very convincing, very common lie about time. And it tells you that same lie almost every single day. This little mental hiccup has a name. It's called the planning fallacy. And in our daily lives, it shows up as a relentless case of time optimism. It's our brain's default tendency to underestimate how long a task will take, even if we've done that exact task hundreds of times before. In simple terms, your brain plans for a perfect, best-case scenario morning. But then you have to live out a normal, real-world morning. And the two rarely match up. So, why is our brain so bad at this? It's because we plan from the inside view. When you think about leaving the house, your mind plays a quick movie of you doing it. It's a first-person simulation. You see yourself grabbing your bag, putting on your shoes, opening the door. It's a clean, smooth highlights reel. Your brain is the director, and it's shooting the perfect take. The clumsy bits, the interruptions, the unexpected phone calls, those are all left on the cutting room floor. Because they feel like weird exceptions, not the rule, your brain doesn't include them in its time estimate. It's an efficient way to make a decision and act, but it's a terrible way to predict a timeline. You'd think experience would fix this, right? The more you get ready in the morning, the better you should be at guessing how long it takes. But here's the twist. Familiarity can make it worse. Psychologists found that we systematically misremember how long tasks took in the past. Your memory isn't a perfect recording. It's a storyteller. It compresses the boring parts, the 2 minutes you spent waiting for the elevator, the minute you spent tying a troublesome shoelace. It remembers the gist of the activity, not the gritty, time-consuming details. So when you reach into your memory for an estimate, you pull out a shortened, tidied-up version of the past. You're basing today's plan on a fictional, faster version of yesterday. Here's where it gets really strange. We are much more realistic when we predict how long something will take for someone else. Think about it. If your friend says they can assemble a whole flat-pack wardrobe in an hour, you might gently suggest, hey, maybe block out the whole afternoon. You know how those instructions can be. You're giving them the outside view, a realistic guess based on how life usually works. But when you look at that same wardrobe, you tell yourself, oh, I can get that done before lunch. We apply a special filter of optimism to ourselves. It's a form of egocentrism, where we see our own path as uniquely smooth, while we expect others to hit the usual bumps. The planning fallacy thrives on invisible tasks. We don't budget for them because we don't even see them as tasks. There's a setup cost for everything. Just sending one email requires finding the right thread, rereading the context, composing your thoughts, and proofreading. Then there's the switching cost, the mental energy it takes to pull your focus from leaving mode to email mode and back again. And finally, there are the transition costs. We budget for the drive, but not the door-to-door journey. Putting on shoes, finding the right podcast, locking the door, waiting for the elevator, walking out of the garage. These aren't part of the drive, but they are absolutely part of the trip. Each one is a tiny tax on your time that your brain conveniently forgets to file. This isn't just about being late for coffee. The planning fallacy affects huge projects run by total experts. The psychologist Daniel Kahneman, who first coined the term with Amos Tversky, tells a powerful story. He was part of a team of seasoned educators designing a new curriculum for schools in Israel. They meticulously planned every stage and estimated the project would take between 18 and 30 months. A perfectly reasonable guess from the inside view. But then Kahneman had a thought. He turned to a curriculum expert on the team and asked him how long other, similar teams had taken to finish their projects. The expert thought for a moment and admitted that, of the teams he'd seen, none had finished in less than 7 years. The team heard this and then completely ignored it. They felt their project was different. In the end, the project took nearly 8 years. It also shows up in the lab, consistently. In a classic 1994 study, psychology students were asked to predict how long it would take to finish their senior theses. These are bright, motivated students working on the most important project of their academic careers. On average, they predicted they'd be done in about 34 days. A little over a month. Seems plausible. What was the reality? The actual average time it took them was 56 days. That's not a small error. They were off by more than 3 weeks, an overrun of 64%. They planned for a sprint, but reality delivered a marathon. They weren't lazy. They were just human, equipped with the same optimistic brain we all have. So how do we fight a quirk that's so deeply baked in? You don't fight it with willpower. You outsmart it with a simple perspective shift. You move from the inside view to the outside view. Instead of imagining your own unique, perfect path, you ask a different question. How long does this kind of thing usually take? This is what experts call reference class forecasting. It sounds complex, but it's dead simple. You're just checking the reviews instead of only trusting the beautiful photo on the menu. Don't ask, how long will my drive be? Ask, what's the typical drive time for anyone on this route at this hour? The answer is usually on your phone's map app, and it's almost always longer than your gut tells you. The other powerful tool is to get specific. Vague optimism loves vague plans. The antidote is something called an implementation intention, or an if-then plan. Instead of a fuzzy goal like, I'll leave on time tomorrow, you create a sharp, specific cue. If it is 7:50 a.m., then I will put my shoes on. If it is 7:55 a.m., then my hand is on the doorknob. One study found this simple trick had a massive effect on students trying to accomplish a goal over the holidays. The students who just had the goal completed it 32% of the time. But the students who wrote down a specific if-then plan, their success rate jumped to 62%. It almost doubled, not because they tried harder, but because they preloaded the decision. Let's make this practical. Try this for 3 days. Pick one routine task, like leaving for work or completing your evening chores, and run a time log. Don't guess. Use the stopwatch on your phone. Start it when you begin the first microtask and stop it only when you are completely finished. This is not about judging yourself. It is a no-judgment data collection mission. You're simply gathering the real numbers. After a few days, you will have your very own reference class. You'll see the real average, not the fantasy average your memory keeps serving you. The first time you see that your 5-minute task actually takes 14 minutes, it's a revelation. You've just uncovered the missing time. You've found the lie. So that feeling of being suddenly late isn't so sudden after all. It's the predictable result of a brain that prefers a smooth story over a messy reality. But once you see the planning fallacy for what it is, a simple cognitive quirk, not a character flaw, you can stop trying to fix yourself and start using a better system. Switch to the outside view. Build in the invisible tax. Create sharp if-then cues. You're not fighting your brain, you're just giving it a more honest map. And you might just find you start arriving on time, almost by accident.